Honestly, Evelyn is the worst out of all of them.
I want to slap the shit out of her sometimes.
Ooh, girl.
Basketball Wives started with a bang. But before we get into that, happy belated Mother's Day to you. I hope you enjoyed your weekend.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you a mom too?
I am.
You know, it's not an easy job. So happy Mother's Day to you too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. It is not. But I tell you what, my daughter she's getting to that age, but I'm not a grandmother yet. And so I wanted to ask you, what is the difference between, because I'm getting that feeling, right? I have a grandbaby from one of my bonus daughters, but I feel like it's a different experience. So in your terms, in your words, what is the difference between being a grandmother and being a mother?
Oh my gosh. It is just honestly, it's so undescribable. Like Uh, so like we love our kids, like
Yes.
everyone knows I am a mama bear. I will go to war for my kids.
Yes.
But your child having a child is just something it is a love that unless you experience it and you feel it, like even just holding him for the first time, seeing
Mhm.
him born, like it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Um, I tell everybody I FaceTime, even when I'm not, I just FaceTimed him before this. Like, he is my everything. I see why grandparents, well, some, because I didn't have the greatest one, but I see why some grandparents are the way they are with their grandkids, because
Mhm.
it is just a love that it is just on a whole other level. And not that you don't love your kids, but it is just so different to
Yeah.
to hold a baby that your baby had.
I can't wait, but I can't imagine. Did it make you look? Is it because even though our children are grown, they still feel like our babies. Is it different seeing your daughter mother her baby? How has that experience been?
Watching her be a mom has been, you never know what kind of mom your kids are going to be,
Right.
right? So you like, are you going to be similar to how I was? I mean, everyone's not a great parent,
Mhm.
just watching her and really just put all her energy into it. Like she's such a great mom.
Right.
Um, she's like reading ingredients on like his food. She's making his food. I mean, from bathing him to overly moisturizing him, like he always smells good. She always has him clean. She takes him to like baby mommy and me class. Like she's a great mom. And it makes
Yeah.
me proud, of
Yeah.
her that she is a good mom, because if she wasn't a good mom we would have a problem.
You're probably trying to get that grandbaby, but that means that you did a good job. Overall, you did an amazing
Thank
job.
you.
That she's an amazing woman and she's a great mom. In addition to that, she kind of grew up with you as a reality star, because I remember when you first started on Basketball Wives, she was young and we didn't see her. Now she's absolutely gorgeous, and a grown woman. How did you navigate really like talking to her about some of the things that you went through on the show? Were there times when you were trying to really protect her from being in the public eye until she got older? How did you navigate that?
It was the thing, my relationship with Shanice, even before reality TV, like we've always been very close.
Mhm.
A piece of advice that I always give to like moms or single moms is always keep the communication open with your kids. Like we would always talk about everything. Even in
Mhm.
high school, like I was the mom that was, I guess, schooling you and making sure that you were making the right decision. And I was always the youngest mom, with my
Yeah.
daughter because we're only 17 years apart.
Yeah.
So, I feel like just us always having this, dialogue with each other. That's why we're able to have this podcast now, drop the low, because we talk about everything. So
Nice.
when I started on reality TV, I didn't know what it was going to be. I had a shoe store in Miami. I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be great for my business at the time, because I've
Mhm.
always had this entrepreneur. I've always wanted to have a business. Like it's just something that I've always wanted to do. So when the show came about, I didn't know what I was doing. I
Mhm.
decided to do the show. Then she films. I think there were tough times throughout this journey. She's older now, so she's used to the noise a little bit.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it took some getting used to,
Yeah.
like being talked about. And I feel like social media now has evolved so much because I mean, back then we didn't have Instagram, we only had
Right.
Twitter at the time. So
Mhm,
this is
mhm.
how long ago it was. So, but I don't know. I think she's dealt with it. She's been graceful about everything, especially with her pregnancy. And somebody's always going to say something.
Right.
So I'm used to it. I mean, I know we know who we are as people. We kind of take the rumors and the craziness, and it's just a part of the world that we live in, and the career path that I chose.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I was, we watched you mature, on Basketball Wives, and then when you were gone, initially, I know you did a lot. I remember the series that you did with Iyanla and just different things to kind of show growth as a woman and coming into your own in a different way. What made you decide to go back to Basketball Wives? Even though I will say, Evelyn, I always see you, even though you were not on the show for a while, I think of you as that's Basketball Wives. You had such just memorable moments, that really to
Right.
me you defined that series. Of course, we think of Shawnee as the executive producer, but when I think of the personality of the show, I really think about you. But I wonder what made you decide to come back, this time around after all the growth that you've gone through and kind of, getting away
Right.
from that persona from before.
Right. It's interesting. People ask me this all the time. Why do you do the show? I I have such a love for the franchise because I am one of the first people that started Basketball Wives in Miami. Let's not get
Mhm.
Jackie mad because she always wants to
We'll
she
come
always
for
want to
you.
have this struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the truth. Miami started, and then Jackie started the LA one because Miami was canceled after everyone left Miami.
Mhm.
And it's really just a love for the franchise, just to see where it's at, and the fact that we're still on.
Yeah.
I always say I feel like we don't get our flowers. Like Shanice started the show. She was in high school. She's now 31 years old.
It's crazy.
Um, it helps my businesses,
Mhm.
everything that I have going on. So every season I crank it up a little bit more. What am I going to shoot? How am I going to promote my businesses? And I try to kind of intertwine everything together. And really, it's worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may be a weird job to people, but it is. Like the show helps. SG by Evelyn Lozada, BX Glow, Drop the Low, like everything just starts working together. And
Mhm.
I always say I'm not leaving no money on the table.
I'm not mad
So,
at you.
but
I'm not mad at that.
you know,
Mhm. Speaking
yeah,
of
I'm a single mom, and
speaking of leaving money on the table, I was also shocked that you were on OnlyFans. Like everyone's not on Demon Time, and what is happening with the OnlyFans page? What made you decide to do that besides not leaving money on the table?
okay, so the first OnlyFans page that I had was a foot page.
Mhm.
So during COVID, I had dropped a line of ankle bracelets. And I
Okay.
said, you know what? I'm gonna start an OnlyFans. So it was like a foot page. And let me tell you something. I said, this is a different world. This is, and let me tell you, who knew that people were into feet like this?
I
You
heard.
know,
Yeah.
like the white toes, the arch, the bottom. I'm like, my mind doesn't work that way, but hey, you like it, I love it. So initially it started, and then my neighbor, her name is Stephanie Ball. She has a page, but she was working with an agency. So I was like, okay. She was like, this is the type of content that I post. Mind you, I'm not there. I'm not on there busting it wide open because I
Okay.
think people think OnlyFans
Right.
that they're on there, naked, or they're doing porn or weird.
Mhm.
I would never do that.
Mhm.
Anything that I post on there, if it was to end up online, I wouldn't care. So I'm
Mhm.
mindful of like my kids, my family. it's bathing suit pictures, things that you would see me on the beach with, or if
Mhm.
it's Halloween, like fun little like outfits, cute, but everything is classy. My vagina is not out. So, I think maybe in comparison to other people on there, mine is so PG. But I put a lot of energy into myself and I work out and I feel good. I feel good about myself. So I'm not at a point where I'm like, oh my God, insecure. So yeah, and so I post that exclusive content on there, but that's what it is. I feel like people think Evelyn has an OnlyFans. Oh my God, is she having sex on there? I would never do that.
I'm glad I knew you weren't doing that, but I thought, how racy are these pics? But that's good. It's good to know. And I didn't think that because
Right.
you have a brand that is very classy. It's very, I'm definitely going to come and let you see what it is, but it's not sexual or anything like that. So it's good to get
No.
clarity on that. Well,
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about this season. Like I said, it started with the bang as usual, but my question is, the situation with you and Jennifer. I'm wondering because when you guys were first introduced, you guys were like the besties for, that relationship was so worked in a part of the show. After Jennifer said some things about your daughter and yourself, did you guys ever get back to that friendship that you initially had after she initially, I don't want to say betrayal, but it just was, talking outside of the relationship? I know you guys mended it, but it just didn't feel like it was ever as close as you once were. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, you're absolutely right. We never got to that same place. And once my daughter was mentioned, even though she had denied it,
Mhm.
I knew the people that were telling me this. Shawnee said it,
Mhm.
Malaysia said it at the time. They didn't have no reason to lie or make this up. So I knew that what they were telling me was true. And it was really, really hurtful to me because it's not like Jackie saying something about Shanice. Like Jennifer has known Shanice since the age of 6, 7 years old. And so even when we got back cool, it wasn't what it was, and it was never going to be what it was because to me, you cross that line and I will never trust you again. But because we're on a show together, I'm trying to coexist, be mature, kind of brush it under the rug per se, but I never
Mhm.
forgot.
Right.
Um, so and I always made sure. So moving forward, even with my son, I was just like, you know what, she's just not the type of person that I'm gonna have around my kids.
Mhm.
Um, no matter the beefs that I've had on the show with other women, with a Tammy or even a Jackie, I would never weaponize
Yeah.
your kid against you. Like, it's not even a thought in my mind to bring up
Mhm.
somebody's child, but
Mhm.
everybody doesn't play fair, right? And people,
Mhm.
g- go down to the pits of hell to try to, get at you. And it's fine. It's just not something that I do. But no, we never got to um the place that we were. And I also feel like even now, like we're just two totally different people. Who
Yeah.
I am today, and who she is today, we're different. And I'm not saying
Mhm.
I'm better than her and vice versa. It's
Mhm.
just my goals and the things that I'm into and the things that I'm trying to accomplish. It's just different than the life and the lifestyle that she's living. And that's fine. People grow apart,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's just it. And I accept that.
Mhm. Last question on that. Is she, so you tried to warn her. I think you and quite a few of the other cast members tried to warn her about her relationship. And we've
Mm.
seen her publicly get into some situations where she was taken advantage of before. Seeing
Right.
that she was not receptive, and even to this point where you have proof, it's come out, it's very public information at this point, about some of the allegations against her husband. Do you regret trying to warn her, or do you think you were just doing your due diligence, or do you think it was like falling on deaf ears when you tried to initially, reach out to her about this?
Right. So it started with the reunion. So
Hmm.
remember the reunion, they aired a hot mic moment. I didn't know that they were going to air this audio. So
Hmm.
right after the reunion, I text her and I said this in the first scene with her at the Friendsgiving. I said, I reached
Hmm.
out to you privately because
Hmm.
everything's not for the show. I've
Right.
been friends with you 20 plus years. I can say, hey, this is what that hot mic moment was about. Let me
Hmm.
explain it to you. And we could have nipped it in the butt. We could have talked about it privately, but she never responded. And then right before she got married, he was going to jail. So it was like all this
Hmm.
stuff going on with him going to jail. So then I sent her another message like, please think about this. Don't marry, because I'm like, I'm afraid for her at this point.
Yeah.
And I just feel like she's better than that situation.
Hmm.
She never responded. And this was all privately. And then people have to think once we're back shooting, we have to pick up where we left off.
Right.
And,
Right.
and because she didn't respond, I'm forced to talk about it on the show. I never
Hmm.
wanted it to be a storyline. I keep telling everybody I never needed Jennifer for a storyline in all the years of my life. In all the years of my life. But of course, it fell on deaf ears. I thought Carl's cousin being involved in this whole craziness and me
That's right.
saying, hey, I can give you the FBI's number for you to do your due diligence and maybe ask questions.
Hmm.
Something is going on with this.
Right.
There's a RICO case now. Like there's so much. And to me, to her, just go ask questions and see, right? Because
Hmm.
of course he's going to tell you one story, but I'm not surprised that it got flipped and now there's a lot of things being said publicly. Now you're angry. It's cool. Like I wish her the best, and God knows
Yeah.
my intentions in my heart. And um, she's grown. She
Yeah.
grown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, last question for me, Evelyn. What are you excited about us seeing once we get past all of this? What else are you excited for us to see with your personal journey for the rest of the season of Basketball Wives? What can we look forward to besides that adorable grandbaby?
oh, thank you. Just I feel like every season I try to be a real friend to the
Hmm.
ladies,
Hmm.
even outside of the show. So you'll see how that goes and how sometimes I'm like, I tried. Like, you got new women coming onto the show. We're always a target. Um, but you'll see me navigating there because it's hard. It's really, really difficult to really have, as Jackie always preaches, like a sisterhood. I try to establish relationships with them outside of the cameras, which
Hmm.
I'm not supposed to do. Like I can technically, they don't like that, but I do it because I want you to trust the process of shooting a show with me and know
Hmm.
that I'm not going to just come at you for no reason.
Right.
So you'll see me navigating those new cast members and acquaintances. I don't say friendships. And how that pans out. But I also talk about, my SG by Evelyn Lozada, BX Glow, uh being a new grandmother. So yeah, it's a great season. I dropped this podcast on the back of that because I knew it was so good.
Yeah. Well, very
Yeah.
smart. I do have one more question. Out of the newbies,
Yeah.
which one do you think was the best casting?
Honestly, I think it was. Can I have a tie between two? Because it's kind of hard. I love
Yeah.
Ming. Okay, I love Ming. I love Ming. I feel like Ming, um, she's just like the perfect piece of the puzzle. Like
Okay.
she just looks great. She's outspoken. I think she's funny as hell. So you'll
Mhm.
see as time goes on. Love Ty. Like I love Ty so much. But I would probably have to say Ming.
Okay. That's fair. Because that
Yeah.
tie and me, I'm okay with that. That's a tie that we can work with. We can work with
Yeah,
that.
because like Ming is, like Ming has her businesses. Like I love being around women like that. Like
Yeah.
she's a go-getter. She's not just on the show, like, oh, okay, I dated a WNBA player. Like she has her shit
Yeah.
together. And I admire that. She's a
Mhm.
great mom. She's such so I love women that come to the show that have so much to offer like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've known Ming for years here in Atlanta, but thank you so much. Again,
Yeah.
happy belated Mother's Day. Can't wait to see the rest of the season.